Ida is Lovi's first wife. She's incredible, right? Like she was a star in her own right and can sing and she's beautiful and all the things. And she is the person that was his wife. You know, it started Revelation Church with him. And throughout the course of time, as you can see, Ida is no longer the wife, right? They got a divorce. And so when I spoke up, she said a lot. Honestly, she said a lot that was a lot to process because Lovi does a really great job of telling you a narrative and you believe it. And of course, she used to sit behind me in church. So I sat in the second row, she sat in the third row, and right behind me, her and her parents. And she was always so sweet to me. We would always turn around and chat with each other. And so I'm hearing the things that he's telling me about her, but I'm meeting this woman sitting right behind me. And I'm like, stuff just isn't adding up. Okay. You know, I have no bad blood with Ida. And we get on the phone and she essentially just like rewires years of everything I'd ever thought about her or known about the church or known about Maggie or known about Uebert Angel or known about Lovi's any and everything. Like she just rewrote the whole thing. And the biggest thing that, you know, she poured out and said was like, I want an apology. Like, I want an apology. I want him to say sorry for everything that he has done to me, for every word that he has said about me, for the way that he has treated me, for the way that he has portrayed me. And yeah, if you guys are not familiar, like he said, I'll tell you what he said to me as a girlfriend. He told me that she was very sick and that she was dying. He told me that she was a drunkard. He told me that she tried to keep Andrew from him. He told me that he had to fight tooth and nail to get Andrew. He told me that him and Andrew were on the street, essentially living in like their studio because they didn't have anywhere else to go during that divorce time. It was just him and his son trying to make it through. I can confirm by Ida's word, if Ida is lying, then Ida is lying. But Ida said none of that is true. Absolutely 0% of that is true. And so when you hear him saying, and my ex-wife is going to sue you, she expressed to me her disgust for Lovi very colorfully. I'm like trying not to, and she thanked me for coming out. So to hear someone say, and my ex-wife is going to sue you, and your ex-wife is thanking me, they're not adding up. The two things don't add up. And for her to, you know, we're asking, well, why won't you come forward? Why won't you talk? And she's so funny. She's like, and if I talk, I'll shut this whole beat down. I'll shut all this beat down. Like nobody, you know, whatever. And she's just like, I just want my family to be whole, to be.
Ask a question. Sorry for interjecting. He, you know, we still see her mother-in-law at the church, or Ida's mother at the church. We seen Ida at the church. You know, there's this presentation that they're good. They're in good standing. Like what? I mean, I already kind of shared some of what you discussed earlier, but what's happening there?
So she is very protective over her son, which is another very false narrative that they spew. Maggie likes to spew this narrative that that's her son and that's her child and she's raising, you know, Andrew and all these things. And while I'm not saying she's not contributing to his well-being, Ida is very involved in her son's life. And so she comes to that church to make sure that Andrew still sees his other side of the family, like to make sure that he knows that you're not just here left to things that are not whole. You know, like you still have a pure, true family that loves you and that cares about you. And come hell or high water, like you're going to see my face here. You're going to have my presence here. And I'm your mom, because that's all she gets. You know, I honestly don't know why there was this all out assault to erase her from the public eye of who she is to Drew, but she loves her son. She's expressed to me multiple times when we were on the phone, like there has never been a time where my son was hungry. I didn't feed him. No matter if I have the energy to do it or not, I make sure my son has a stomach full of food. My son, she was like saying that her son wanted something for his birthday, some expensive pair of shoes. She made sure she found a way to get it to him, which is crazy that she has to find a way to get something and her husband's a millionaire, but okay, or her ex-husband's a millionaire. So yeah, that whole narrative is just, it's to be a dramatic thing. And if you listen to that thing that he does in the brown suit where he says, and as a black man in America, making sure we got our kids, he plays out this like emotional trope to get people to sympathize with him. That's what I did when he was coming after me and I heard all the horrendous things about Ida and how she talked to him and how she abused him and all these things, how she was a drunk. I was like, oh my God, this monster. Like, I just want to protect you. I just want to protect him. But that's not true. She goes, Sheridan, I am not an alcoholic. She was like, I literally would have a glass of wine like anybody else, occasionally have a glass of wine. She even talks about a time where her and Maggie, her spiritual daughter at the time, let me repeat that, when her and Maggie, her spiritual daughter at the time, went out to eat and Ida ordered a glass of wine like a lovely lady. And then Maggie went and snitched on Ida about getting the wine to Lovi. But during their marriage, she was never a drunkard, according to Ida.
During the marriage, she was never a drunkard. Yeah,
during the marriage,
I heard the same thing, that during the marriage, she wasn't a drunkard, but after the things she went through, then that became what,
vice.
Yeah, the vice, you know?
Yeah.
Bruh. Did she say anything about what was her claim about Uebert Angel?
Uebert Angel was the reason why she had to divorce Lovi and that Lovi had to marry Maggie. She said, my husband did not want to leave me. My husband had no desire to leave me. It was Uebert Angel that said Maggie's the person that's supposed to be the wife all out of nowhere. And he was just so enthralled with Uebert and wanted to be like Uebert. And, you know, whenever he says, God told me, yeah, he's talking about Uebert Angel. It's the same thing marrying Maggie. He called me on the phone and said, the fathers told me to do this. But then when he'll talk to other people, he'll say, God said. That was a conversation I had with him post marriage to Maggie, that he didn't want to do it, but the fathers told him to. So do I believe Ida in that? Yes, because he told me from his own mouth that the fathers made him marry Maggie and he didn't want to. And every woman that has come out has said the same thing. She expressed her demeanor as not someone to just go out and blah, 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 blah. So she's just sitting there listening to this man. First of all, she was very hurt learning some of the things of the specifics of our relationship, you know, like the coming to America thing. That was something that they were supposed to do together. They were going to have a coming to America 10-year anniversary theme. And that was the movie that talked about how she was still dealing with him when him and Maggie were supposedly officially together. She's very open about her timeline, mixing in even with Maggie's timeline. Even just spoke about like the spiritual implications. And you played that first part where he talks about how there was a woman that laid a hand on his son and he said, don't do that, or XYZ. And she talked about that. You know, she talked about how how she believes that he had done an evil practices on her spiritual mother and why her health declined and her, you know, eventually
I'm going to
passing away.
forgive anything that he said about me. I was kidding. A woman put her hand on my son. When I got there, I said, did I not tell you guys not for her to do this? You remember this? I took my son and I left. The moment she left that house, her health declined. She started getting sicknesses that were not right. And I told her, you will come back and tell me sorry. And if you don't, you're going to die.
And the woman passed away. And then my question is, if she were to come out and speak up, what would be the punishment?
She's just afraid she won't get to see her son.
Okay, so there is a repercussion. Like he allegedly, according to her, if she speaks out, he would not let her.
I mean, she didn't say he won't let me have my son. She did not say that. She said, I'm staying quiet for my son.
For my son. Good.
So I'm just using context clues and assuming there's some sort of threat. She also expressed that he's a very strong temper. And she said a time recently that he had come over to the house. He was only there for about 5 minutes. And she started talking about Trump. And he got very irate and extremely angry, stormed out and left. And she said, I can't even sit and talk to him for 5 minutes. God forbid I come out and talk and share my story with the world, you know? And so I can attest to his temper. I've seen little like phone dents in the wall when I've been at Campo Road I'm just going to assume, allegedly, from what I know, him throwing things at the wall. He's told me stories about him throwing things in his marriage with Ida. I believe her when she talks about the temper. I've seen his temper firsthand as well. So she's just saying, I think it's best for me to stay silent. She does not like Lovi, from what she's told me. Like, yes, she believes that he is under manipulation and deception, and she's praying that he will repent and that all that stuff will leave him. But who he is right now, she's like, I don't know this guy. That guy is not the guy that I married. That is not the guy that I started this church with. Even the story of who gave the name Revelation. She's like, I was like, yeah, he said that Jesus Christ gave him that name. And she's like, no, I gave him that name. And I'm like, no. Everybody knows that Jesus Christ gave him the name Revelation Church, gave him the mandate. And she goes, excuse me. No, I gave him that name. And so it's just like from the small, like, you don't have to, why lie about that? You know what I mean? Why is that a lie that you want to come up with so bad? God forbid someone that gave birth to your child helped in your ministry. But no, everything has to be Jesus called me, Jesus said this, Jesus. Oh my gosh, like he's just always trying to wipe and erase her out. The very house that this started at is her parents' house. But when you go to that church and you see that little wall of everything that they have, she's completely erased. You just see Maggie.